Well, welcome back.
Welcome to you too, and everybody out there.
So we are getting started on answering your questions. So let's get this party started, shall we?
Sure.
All right. So Andy from Florida said, many people are rescuing horses. Often that requires a whole different set of skills, and many people are not prepared for these special challenges. What would you look for when you went to rescue a horse if you wanted to be successful in accomplishing that goal? Or what would the red flags what would be the red flags that say not this one? It's such a great question, Andy, because again, more people are definitely leaning towards the rescue aspect. So, Dad, why would you rescue a horse?
Well, number one, there's many good reasons, but there's a lot of reasons not to. One of the reasons is you're trying to give a horse a second chance. You have the time, the money, the facilities, and the knowledge to rescue? Or are you letting your emotions take over? We all are sympathetic to abuse and things of that nature, but let's cut this to the chase, if you will. Rescuing a horse. Number one, why are they at a rescue? It could be as simple as the owners no longer financially can maintain the horse in the proper protocol for today. Could be that simple. Generally speaking, a horse is at a rescue for a reason. And so what reasons are you inheriting with said rescue horse? Many times it's a lack of training. There are many times that it's an abusive situation where somebody tried to train the horse and did not have the knowledge to train the horse. So the horse resisted. Again, episodes 1 and 2, talking about what we deal with, and that is, does the horse understand and comprehend what they're being asked? Many times there are situations, it's as simple as this. I've had guys tell me that they bought their girlfriend a horse just because they thought that was the thing to do. They never even asked for a horse. They don't know anything about a horse, and all of a sudden they own a horse. Next case, lovingly being abused. Now that's kind of a mind boggler right there, because people generally think of everything they do thinking like a person in lieu of thinking like the horse. That's where they get in trouble. So you bought your girlfriend this really nice horse, and she has no clue. And it could be the other way. The girl could buy it for the boyfriend, whichever. But the same situation is they have no experience, they have no knowledge. And so they do what they do. They treat it like a human. They treat it like one of their dogs or a cat. Well, horses don't think like that, so they're not going to understand. The next thing you know, the horse is the bad guy. And the horse was innocent the whole time. Now, there's extenuating circumstances, but generally speaking, that's it. You want to develop a relationship, not just fix a problem with a rescue horse. So it's pretty important that you understand what you're getting into. You know, and quite frankly, rescue horses are not a blank slate.
That's for sure.
They've got a history, and they know how to play the game. So you have to be extremely careful about what you're getting into, because here's the number one problem that I see. People rescue a horse, and then all of a sudden they become emotional with that horse. That horse is an extremely big deal, and we applaud that if it's kept in the right parameters. They are not something that you put in a car seat, in the back seat of your car, put a pacifier in their mouth and drive down the road. They don't understand that. As much as we want to be emotional and we want to save all of them, let's be realistic. We can't. We cannot. Now, I'm going to say something that many of you may not agree with, but that's your prerogative. I told you from the get-go of these episodes, we're going to tell you the truth. Sometimes the truth hurts. Sometimes the best, most loving thing you can do for your horse, if you cannot conquer the problems, whether it be physical or mental, is to have them humanely euthanized. Now, you didn't want to hear that, and many of you will think that that's giving up. That's not giving up, that's being realistic. Sometimes it gets to that. Majority of the time, no, because we're going to help you get through this. But there are horses that cannot be rescued. It's that simple. They will not quit doing what they have been taught to do, especially if it was a negative. They're gonna fight. They're gonna try to run away. They're gonna pull back. They're gonna do all of those things. Now, Andy's question was, what was some of the things to look for in a rescue? Okay, but let's make sure one thing is clear. We want to look before we buy. We want to look before we rescue. We want to look before we get tied up in the heartstrings, because that's always the problem. I don't know how many times in my career I've heard an owner go, "Look how he looks to me with those great big brown eyes." 100 times I've heard that. And you know what? That person was just being truthful. The problem is you got to get around that, okay? Those same big brown eyes will run over you, will stomp on you, will kick you, and will bite you in defense. If you put them in a box, they're going to fight, and you can't expect anything different. You will never train the fight out of the horse. You will never train the flight out of the horse. If it gets a chance to run, it will, because that's what the good Lord gave them to deal with. So, fight or flight. Here we are, right back to that. Be honest with yourself. Do you have the skill? Do you have the time? Do you have the money? Because that $500 rescue could all of a sudden turn into a $10,000 problem. So be very careful. Do your due diligence before you rescue. Don't go to the rescue to rescue.
Yeah.
Go to the rescue to look around.
People get caught up
That's
on
it.
oh, this horse was abused, I can save it. Oh, this horse had this issue, I can fix it. But if you don't have the skill set, and if you're not the right person to meet the needs of that horse, then you just became part of the problem.
Correct. And you won't get around it, because all of a sudden that rescue that you loved and paid this money for, and you're going to conquer, and you're going to save, and all these great terms, becomes the issue. Yeah. And all of a sudden it's headed back to the rescue.
So Andy had asked about some red flags. I think the biggest red flag for me personally as a trainer would be the fact that you literally have to go in this with eyes open and be very realistic. Dad already touched on it. A beginner is never going to be the right person for a horse, a rescue horse. As many people want to argue about that, and oh, well, I got it for $500. Again,
Yeah.
We're back to the $10,000 500 horse. So it's the same cyclical thing, and you don't want to be part of the issue. So basically, the rescue horse that would not be the right horse for a beginner would be like a fearful horse, a horse that has absolutely no manners, a horse that's never been touched or handled before. If you don't know what you're doing as a beginner, and then you're trying to get a horse that's never been handled before, that's going to turn into a very dangerous situation extremely quickly. And that is not what anybody wants to have handled.
Well, to quote a very famous movie, you can't handle the truth.
So good.
I don't even remember the movie, but I remember the situation. But the bottom line is this. There are horses at a rescue, and they're there for a reason. Again, we touched on it earlier. Maybe it was just a situation that the owners could no longer take care of them. Okay? Generally speaking, they're at a rescue for a real reason. Usually it is a mental problem with the horse. whether it was abused in training or whatever. You can build any complicated mental scenario you want. But the bottom line is, folks, they're at a rescue. And they're there for a reason. You got to figure out the reason before you get emotionally attached and try to take that reason and that problem home. Okay? Well, I think all horses in the proper hands with a tremendous amount of time can probably be brought around. But usually those two factors don't go together. Usually you don't have a qualified person trying to rescue a horse. You have people rescuing horses because, again, to tell you the truth, they're cheap.
And expensive.
And very expensive at the same time. And that's how that works, okay? Please understand, we're not saying don't go try to rescue a horse. That's not it. Yeah. We think the rescues are great. The problem is you got to know what's going on before you get there. And generally, well, one more point. Generally speaking, the people that I've seen working at rescues are not the most experienced people in the world. Yeah. Just like when you rescue a dog and they try to tell you what its pedigree is. Oh, I think it's got a little lab, a little poodle, a little chihuahua. And oh yeah, there's some of that bulldog in there too. And then you do a DNA test and none of those are involved. All right? So the people saying that, they're doing it lovingly. They're giving you their opinion, but they just don't know. Okay? So don't go to a rescue because they're cheap. Go to a rescue if there's something that you really need. Okay? That's a real big deal. Otherwise, figure out what you want to do when you grow up in the horse world. And I don't care how old you are. Where do you want to go? What do you want to be?
Needs versus wants.
Yeah, there it is.
All right.
There it is. All right.
We're going to hone in on some good signs that if you are rescuing, this is something you absolutely want to do. This is what you need to be looking for in a rescue horse while you're looking at the rescue. You want to take it?
With open eyes. I'll be glad to do it. Is the horse curious? Does it move to you or away from you when you step up? When you come up and approach that horse calmly, not aggressively, not with apprehension, because that's what most people do, because they don't know how the horse is going to react. Is the horse curious? Does it come towards you? Does it try to step in your zone? Your zone we'll deal with in future episodes, and we'll teach you all about that. Does it watch you but doesn't want to relax? Is it on tilt? Is it on guard? Okay? Does the horse generally, is it interested in people? Is it willing to move away from pressure once you get up close enough and you touch it? Will it move away or does it continue to push to you? Those are the kind of horses you have to be a little bit guarded with, I guess. But the bottom line is every horse has their day. Every horse has a situation. Because you can't recreate what has happened, because they were rescued, they were surrendered. Do the people always tell the truth when they're surrendered? Not a chance. Not a chance. So that would be a big red flag if the rescue personnel try to tell you everything that you need to know about said rescue horse. They probably don't really know it. Do they fabricate those stories so as to get them rescued? I don't know. I would hope not. I would hope they would tell everything they know honestly. Positive and negative. You need to know both sides. Okay? When that rescue horse was delivered to the rescue, did it take 5 men and a boy to try to get it to come off the trailer and come into the barn? Did it lead calmly? Was it lame when it came off the barn? Did it have sores on it? Did it just from unsanitary conditions? Were their feet extremely long because they didn't do the farrier work? God only knows when parasite control was done, or any of your basic shots and normal husbandry. So those are the kind of things that you need to look at. Really step back, take away all the emotion
That's
as
the
best
hardest part.
you can. Yeah, I know it is. Because again, those big brown eyes come out.
Yep.
I mean, it's that simple. And oh, he called to me. Well, unless you can read horse, he may have been saying, stay away. Let's be real. Not everything is positive coming from the horse world. And you got to be able to read. Here at our place, I'm the one that keeps the emotion out of the deal. And we're not dealing with rescues. So I do know what the horse is, what it's done, where it's going. Hopefully I can read the future and say, this is what I think this horse is going to be good at. And at a rescue, you need to be able to do that too. If you are wanting to rescue a horse to run in speed events, you're going to want a thoroughbred quarter horse type of a horse. Okay? If you're wanting to trail ride, you're going to want probably some kind of a gaited horse. Most people do. There's all kinds of breeds out there. Is this horse going to be an easy keeper? If it's at a rescue and it's got plenty of weight on it, probably it is. Okay? If it shows any signs of lameness or unsoundness, like in laminitis or any kind of thing like that, you got to be real, you got to shy away from that. That's a constant problem that will reoccur. Okay? Do a pre-purchase on this rescue horse. An absolute pre-purchase. If you were going to Keeneland and going to buy a thoroughbred off the track for $1.2 million, or off the sale for $1.2 million, are you going to do a pre-purchase exam? Well, my goodness. Okay. Well, let's say that it only costs $500 for this rescue. Still situation. Do a pre-purchase. Get a vet, not a vet that works for the rescue.
Yeah.
Get your own vet, bring them in here and say, doctor, tell me the good and the bad. I can handle it.
If this was your horse, if you were picking out this horse, that's the terminology you should
Correct.
use.
If you're going to take this horse home, I do this all the time, even with vets that are here every day. Well, not every day. Bob, if you're going to buy this horse, or Dr. Bob, if you're going to buy this horse, what would you look for? Do you see any reason you would not buy this horse? Mentally or physically? Okay? If you tell them that you'd like to win the Kentucky Derby and you're looking at a draft horse, it's not going to fly. So be realistic about what you want. Pick the type out. Don't go by color. Please don't do that. The color is the last thing you ever want to evaluate. You got to get under that skin first, mentally and physically. What's under there? If it's a color that you like, if it's a color that is elegant and when you're going down the trail, everybody's going to look at you and your horse. Boy, that's a wonderful thing. That's icing on the cake. But do everything before that color. Please, please do that for your sake and the horse's sake.
So you got any final thoughts?
Yeah. You know, a horse doesn't need someone to save it. They don't need someone to save it. A horse needs someone who understands it. That's the issue. And just because you read a book, even though it was ours, or any of the great books that are out there and the videos and everything else, you're not a trainer yet. You just got some basics going. You got to put that into action with your skill level. We know you think you know. We also know that you're either green and growing or you're ripe and rotten. And that's my final thought.
Until next time.
It's been real. Adios.